Hi, welcome to another video as part of the Stamping on Transparencies class for 2peasinabucket.com. This is the second in a three-part video series, and this one focuses on stamping with Black Staz-On Ink and also adding some color to your stamped images. This is the first example. You can see the image has been stamped on the transparency with Black Staz-On Ink and then colored in, and also there's some color on the edges. The first tip is just stamping with Black Staz-On Ink and also cleaning it off. This is just a transparency card, and I'm just inking up the Black Staz-On Ink. Now, Black Staz-On Ink is very slick when you stamp on transparency, so it wants to move easily, so you got to be real careful. Now, you can see up there, up towards the top, I kind of made it smudgy, so I'm just going to spray it with the Ultra Clean Cleaner and just wipe it right off so that I can start over again. It really takes some practice to get used to stamping with transparency, or stamping with Black Staz-On Ink on transparency. So here I am giving it another try, and you just want to go straight down, straight up. No wiggling, straight down, straight up, and it usually will do just fine. This next tip is for adding coloring to your transparencies. This is the stamped image with the Black Staz-On Ink, and I'm just flipping it over and adding some color to the back of the stamped image. These are just colored Sharpie markers, and they work great on transparencies. I seem to do it on the back of the stamped images just because I don't want to mess with the ink if it's not dry, so this seems to work out just fine. Now, I've noticed with these Sharpie markers you can kind of blend them into each other. You can see I'm just kind of putting two shades of green next to each other, and if you go back over it you can see how it starts to blend a little bit. Very simple to do. Recently, Sharpie's come out with a lot of colored markers that are great, and they all work perfect on transparencies. Now, the next tip is for assembling a clear card. I love making clear cards because they're so unexpected and fun. But the one bad part about it is that you can see the adhesive through the other side. So I always like to put something on the back of the note card like I am here, and this will hide the adhesive on the back side. So first I've put the mat on the back. Any kind of adhesive works fine here. And now I'm going to put the card on the front. So now you have the back that hides the adhesive so you don't see through it. Now, by putting white right behind the stamped image, it makes the image look more vibrant, and it also gives a little bit of a shadow look when the transparency is lifted away from the punched piece. And this is just a trim from Doodlebug that I'm going to add to the card. Now, here's a tip for coloring the edges of transparencies. This is real easy to do. You could either use an ink pad and rub it against ink pad, or just take a marker and go right along the edge, and it just adds a little fine definition to the edge of your transparency. Very easy to do, and just makes the card pop just a little bit more. Now, I wanted to show a way to fix mistakes with Black Staz-On Ink. I sometimes will stamp my image and it'll look nice, however it didn't completely stamp. I keep a fine tip black pen on hand. Black permanent pen actually works best. And you can go in and fill parts of the image that didn't stamp perfectly. So here's the finished product. Now, here's another card example, and this one uses the color in a little bit of a different way. Here I colored the transparency completely on each of those stars, and then I stamped an image on top of it. So this tip is just about coloring transparencies. It's hard to find nice colored transparencies, so making your own is kind of handy. Again, I'm just using the Sharpie markers, and I just go back and forth like this, and when the ink is wet it kind of blends in and you won't see the marker lines, so you actually come up with a pretty clear colored transparency piece. So you can see how it kind of pools together, and it doesn't take too long to dry either. So here I'm doing another one. I try not to go back and forth over the same color because it kind of keeps it from blending together. But you can see how It's pretty easy to do. And I'm just covering an area that's big enough for the punched piece, or the punch that I'd like to use. So here I'm just punching out the shape with the Fisker's punch, and there I've got my punched pieces. You can also trace them or die cut them, anything like that. Now this tip is for holding transparency still when using Black Staz-On Ink. Since it's slick and it wants to stick to it, I take a post-it note and put the sticky side up and put my little transparent piece onto it. Now when you ink and you stamp on it, the transparency won't want to stick to the stamp. It'll stay stuck to the post-it note instead. And actually this is a great tip for anytime you want to stamp on something that's small and might want to stick to the stamp. Now here I'm just adding my shaped pieces with a pop dot because you can see what great fun the shadow gives with these transparent shapes. And these stars were stamped with Fontwork stamps, and I just love the cutout script image that is in each of those stamped images. And here's the final product. Simple and quick, but you can see how much fun coloring can add to your transparencies. For more information, be sure to visit twopeasinabucket.com, and also be sure to stop back and check out videos 1 and 3, which will be coming soon. Thanks for stopping by.